Hello, everyone. Welcome to another one of our webinars, Financial Empowerment, Unlocking Business Success Through Strategic Financial Management. Now that we have everyone in your preferred language channel, I want to invite you to continue to use the chat to drop your name, your location, and your business name if you'd like. We'd love to say hello. So today's webinar, like I said, is called Financial Empowerment, Unlocking Business Success Through Strategic Financial Management. It's hosted in partnership with the PepsiCo Foundation, Impacto Hispanic Restaurant Accelerator. My name is Brittany Richardson, and I'm the Business Engagement Specialist for Axion Opportunity Fund, or AOF. AOF is a national nonprofit organization that provides affordable loan capital, as well as wraparound business resources to small business owners across the country with a specific focus on women and entrepreneurs of color. AOF is one of the nonprofits implementing partners for the Impacto program, alongside Allies for Community Business, Lift Fund, and Prospera. A huge thank you to those wonderful partners for being here today, and of course to the PepsiCo Foundation for their incredible support. Before I introduce today's wonderful speaker, we're going to begin a really great conversation. I want to quickly go over just a couple of quick housekeeping items. I see the chat and I see so many people in there. Please continue to use that. If you have questions throughout the presentation, that's where we're going to go to find those questions. So we can't wait to stay engaged with you there. We are going to be recording today's webinar, so you may refer back to the information presented at a later time. Just keep an eye out for that recap email. And lastly, when the webinar concludes, you'll be prompted to complete a really short survey about today's presentation. We really value your feedback, so please just take a couple of minutes to give us your thoughts on the webinar. So today's conversation will give you important insights on how to unlock business success through strategic financial management. I'm so excited to introduce Chef Grace Ramirez today. Hi, Chef Grace.
Hello, guys. Thank you so much for having me. This is very exciting. And hello to there's 465 people signed in. So thanks so much for taking the time to be here with us.
Yes. As Chef Grace said, we are so excited to have you all here today. And there are so many of you here. So we are going to be discussing with Chef Grace just about all of the amazing things that she's done with her business to grow it, and the unique ways that she's been able to scale her business. And we're going to jump into that in just 1 second here. So as we are paused here, if you'd like to use the chat to just drop in a couple of hellos, I see some of you. We'll go ahead and just pause here, make sure everyone's in the right space and in the right language channel, and give everyone a good portion of time so they can hear everything that's going to be happening today. So we'll just pause for 1 moment. All right, thank you for the pause there. So I think we're going to get into a lot of really wonderful information. Chef Grace has a long history of success and just a wonderful person. I can speak from experience in getting to chat with her and to get started in this conversation. And we are going to send out her amazing bio along with this information today. But we want to make sure that we have a lot of time to discuss all of your amazing experience in this field. So I want to go ahead and jump right in to your experience, Chef Grace. Can you walk us through your journey of building a successful business in the culinary industry?
Well, thank you. And yeah, let's get right into it, because I think that there's a lot of really cool inside information that I want to share with you all. But, I have a very interesting career path. I'm a career changer. And I know that a lot of people that are in the culinary space they've had other careers before, and then they decide to launch their own business or go to culinary school, or, and I think that's been my case. I started very young, and I was a director, producer for television, but I started when my family has always worked in the entertainment industry. So I was that little child model, and I grew up on a set, if it was either the soap opera sets, or, my uncle was he was a singer, and my aunt was representing artists. My other uncle was running an advertising agency. So for me, the entertainment industry was just something that I was very familiar with. And I was 19, I got a job at Nickelodeon, Latin America. Then I ran MTV. And, then there was this really cool channel that I became obsessed with called the Food Network. So I quit MTV, which is, this is something that I've done a lot in my life. And I'm not saying it's the smartest move, but I get very determined when I'm like, I'm going to make this work. Right. And I quit MTV, and I was just trying to find a lead of someone who knew someone that worked at the Food Network. And I was like, and everyone would say, it was so hard to get in. You're not going to get in. You haven't been to culinary school. And it's, it's a very small kind of industry. And I said, well, I'm going to get in. And I started asking around who knew someone at the Food Network, until I was at this event. And then they said, oh, this person runs, helps Bobby Flay doing all his, what it was, integrated marketing at the time, right? And then they got me an interview to work with Bobby Flay's production company. And then I got a job. I was a supervising producer, and then I then went down to be an associate producer. So it kind of started over. And I think, again, that has also been another thing in my life that I've done several times. Just kind of getting right back up and, okay, let's now do this. And when I do these kind of events and mentorships, people have seen my trajectory, and it's things that, how do you have this confidence? How has this happened overnight? Well, it has not. It's been 20 years in the making of nonstop work. And it's been 20 years of a lot of, okay, getting right back up, right? Okay, I fell, but let me, I won't take no for an answer. So it's just kind of like, I think that's a message that is good for entrepreneurs. Like, I hear a lot of entrepreneurs saying, oh, but I failed at my first business, so I gave up. Well, I've failed so many times. But the important thing is not giving up, and the water will always find the way to the ocean. Even sometimes it goes through a little stream, sometimes it goes through the river, sometimes it goes through different paths. But if you and like I always say, like Jennifer Lopez said to me, if you keep working hard enough, something will happen. So it's a lot of information, but I think that is something that I want to get this message across. It hasn't been easy, and my path has not been just one straight shot.
Yes, I love that. There's so many good, I don't know, nuggets of advice, but also inspiration in there. I see the chat just blowing up. So people are definitely resonating with it. And I wanted to ask you a little bit more about what strategies did you use to develop the multiple revenue streams in your business, because you kept going and continued to work through all of the different challenges. How did you do that?
No, I think it's very important. First of all, I want to be very vulnerable and honest. And I think that as a woman, as a Latina woman, I didn't grow up with a family that had any sort of, they were entrepreneurs without knowing they were entrepreneurs, because my grandmother will make bathing suits and so we would sell them. And my aunt too. So they had that small business, but my grandfather was, in the military in Venezuela. But they were not really, I had nobody really to look up to in terms of how do you build a successful business. And it's taken me a very long time to understand many things, many concepts that I had no notions of. And I think that is something that I want people to know, that now it's easier because there's a lot of resources that you guys are going to go through. Now, there's a lot of more information out there that you can tap into that kind of like draw a path of how to build a business, right? There's a lot more resources. I think first, my experience has been, at first I would be really ashamed that I was working a corporate job, then I started directing shows, then I became a chef, then I started building a business. And I think there was a lot of shame into, I didn't know how to do that, right? But I've always been very passionate and determined and focused, right? And I want to give another analogy to people. It's like the eagle, first of all, it always rises higher. Second of all, it always knows where its prey is. It always knows where it's going, but it never goes against the wind. So I think for me, it's been a combination of being really focused, having a big vision, right? Knowing exactly where I want to go, but also trusting the universe is going to lead me to the places I need to be and where I need to go and the steps I need to make in order to build something solid and stable and that has strong foundation, right? So for my case has been, first of all, really having the vulnerability and openness, like I don't know everything, but I'm going to figure this out. Then having mentors and people that, Natalie Molina Nino is someone that wrote an amazing book that I highly recommend for you all called Leapfrog. And it's like hacks for women in business. Highly recommended for you all. Natalie happens to be a very dear friend of mine. And she was like, wait a minute, like, it was one of those conversations that changed my life. Like, you're doing all these things, right? You're teaching cooking classes. You have, you have a catering business. You do events. I still produce shows and do content. This is a business, right? The Chef Grace Ramirez it's a business. And I think that it was her and being part of We NYC, Women Entrepreneurs of New York City, that, Diana Franco and all these amazing women kind of like, okay, we don't know everything, but we're going to figure it out. And if we don't know anything, then hire people who are able to help you scale, help you, understand. And I understand that as a small business owner, it is expensive, but now there's all these resources and there's people like the Action Opportunity Fund that has, they can guide you towards the right direction of people who are going to give you a lot of advice for free. And again, there's so many resources out there. It's just a matter of really being determined and being like, for example, at first I couldn't afford legal advice. And, We NYC, they provide, there's an arm of it that provides, free legal counsel. So I tapped into all those resources at first, where I was like, okay, I'm going to figure this out. Right. And I think that for me is something, now we've built a very successful business that we do events, we do catering, we do private dinners, we work with a lot of in the corporate space. I was just here, I'm in Aspen right now. We just curated a huge festival called Raizado, 3 days of impact and just celebrating the Latino community at its best in kind of like a summit way. And we curated breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day. I'm a chef partner with the UN. I work with the Department of Education of New York City. I'm part of the Chef Council appointed by Mayor Adams. So I do a lot of philanthropy work. I work with World Central Kitchen as an ambassador. And I think that that is another key thing, being out there. And when you don't come from a community that or a family that is in it, that has businesses that are successful, that are able to connect you to so and so, and you can make a phone call and can write you a big check. When you don't have any of that, I think it's very important to be out there and put yourself out there and have no shame into, hey, this is who I am, but also building those relationships in a very smart and strategic way without, people are now going to all these networking events and just like, oh, this is so-and-so, you got to help me. Well, you have to build relationships. And I think that that's another very successful part of what I've built. It's having very strong relationships that, they're not only my friends, but some of them are my business partners or legal counsel or, so I have a very strong community of people that I can call that I feel has my back, right? So I know I'm throwing a lot out there, but I think that, my business is not a very, it hasn't been in a traditional kind of, this is exactly what's happened. I'm just telling you what I've done to now be, in partnership with Aramark, and we have 85 food halls across the country. That is the first time we have Latino representation in over 85 universities across the country, where it's called La Latina Cocina with Chef Grace Ramirez. And, so I think about myself from having, doing a scrappy catering in New York, carrying pots and pans up and down stairs, to anybody that does catering. It's one of the hardest jobs out there. It's hard work, to building this kind of, business that now gives me, different revenue streams in partnership with Aramark. So I was able to license my name. But in that, it's very scary and growing, and I've had a lot of growing pains, and that's when you need to surround yourself with good mentors and good lawyers that I know they're expensive, but you have to take sometimes a hit to be able to do that leap into growing a business.
Yes, I love that. And I love how you highlighted the vulnerability and the piece that, like, you don't have to know absolutely everything. You need to have relationships so that you can build that. That's so great and so key. There's a lot of questions in the chat. What was the book you mentioned again?
Leapfrog. It's
Leapfrog.
by Melanie Molina Nino. Yeah, I'll put it in the chat.
Okay.
I think everybody should have that book.
It looks like, I think a lot of people are interested in getting it. There's a lot of interest there. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so I know we talked a little bit about your non-traditional path, and like how you have really experienced, it seems like, multiple lives in your one life, in your career and whatnot. And I just want to mention, if folks have questions for Chef Grace, we do have a little bit of Q&A time with her after this, so please continue to use the chat. But with your non-traditional path and your business success, what key financial lessons have you learned along the way?
Well, it is very important to, again, I started, I was just like a one-man band. Then, I met my business partner slash now best friend slash she runs my culinary life, Chef Melissa Tung. I think Melissa is someone that we balance each other out. Melissa is able to execute my vision. She's like a culinary producer slash director. She's fabulous. And she worked, after we did culinary school together, she went to work in the catering space in New York City, but in big banquet halls. So she has that, big vision, big events, and how to execute them, right? I'm also I think of things very big, and because I'm a producer, right? I know, okay, how do we get there, right? I know how are we going to get there, but I also know, again, my strengths and weaknesses. I know I'm dyslexic, I'm ADD, I have all kinds of learning disabilities, so it's been very hard for me. Like, people told me I could not write a cookbook. I've written 4 cookbooks. One of them is called La Latina. The other one is the 5-ingredient electric pressure cooker cookbook. The other one is a collaboration with the UN, Kitchen Connections. That's the latest one. And the other one is a collaboration with the world's best chefs, which, ironic, Gordon Ramsay kicked me out of the show. And now we're in this book together where it says, thank you to the world's best chefs. And it's his name in mine because it's Grace Ramirez, Gordon Ramsay, whatever. So I find that very ironic. And I think that, for me, did I start with a team? No, we started 2 people, and I grew from there hustling. Right. And I think that, I've just happened to be, people see my Instagram life and they're like, oh, how do you do it? How do you go to all these parties? How are you always, the thing is, I say, and this is a fault I have, and I think that now I'm trying to balance this. But at first, I just said yes to everything in terms of, a networking event. So-and-so had a panel, and I would get up there and ask, for example, Grace, sorry, I wanted to meet Chef Jose Andres. I wanted to be part of World Central Kitchen. then I was like, how do I get involved? And I saw that Chef Jose Andres had a talk with Chef Sam Kass, former Obama president. He was a chef to the Obamas. And I showed up, and, I got up and I said to Sam, Jose was in Puerto Rico. And I said, I introduced myself to Chef Sam Kass. And I said, where's Jose? He's like, he's in Puerto Rico. I was like, how do I get a hold of him? He goes, just show up. And I did just show up in Puerto Rico without, him knowing where he was. I started asking around. Then I finally connected with him. Then I got involved with World Center Kitchen. And I think that that's, again, I'm not saying my business has been the right way to do business, but I've just shown up and asked questions and been very clear of, I don't know how to do this, but I need someone to help me. And I think when you have that determination, is like that book, The Alchemist, people will show up in your life that will help you, that would get you there, right? And I think that that's been the story of my life. Like, I wanted to write a book. I've got 4, 6, 10, I don't know how many rejections. And I was like, they were like, you have to go be famous and then have a cookbook. Then I'll be like, oh, then I'll go be famous. But it's like, you have to be your most enthusiastic cheerleader. You have to write the stuff down. You have to kind of like go to seminars where they're going to tell you, okay, this is what you need to do next. This is what you need to do next. Write it down. And I guarantee you that if you have that will, you would get it done and you will figure it out. And again, organizations like these are amazing. Use the available resources. I had none of this. I would just go old school, ask around, and figure it out along the way. And it's been an amazing journey of I am scared every day. It's people see me and they were asking me yesterday, was here at Raizado, the government introduced me and the work that I've done in the most humbling, loving way. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm getting introduced by the governor of Aspen. I got just the pin of Aspen by the mayor of Aspen saying, thank you for all your work. And to me, this is still crazy. I wake up every day and I just say, I feel like I'm only just starting, right? But I also have years of falling and getting right back up and falling. And that resilience gives you the confidence to keep going. But it hasn't happened overnight. Like, people see me and they're like, oh, how are you so confident? How do you walk in a room? And I'm like, because I've fallen so many times, but I've proven to myself that I can get right back up and that I have to be my most enthusiastic cheerleader, and like turn down the volume of that voice in your head that is saying, yeah, you can do it. You can do it. You just need to work towards it and take no for an answer.
Yes, I love that. My gosh, tons of people are sharing how much great advice this is. This is really wonderful. Okay, to wrap up our much too short segment, I feel like we could talk to you for like 3 hours, but I know you're keeping Aspen in shape down there. So the final question is, many small business owners, they struggle with identifying the right financing options for their ventures. Just from your personal experience, could you share which insights on how to assess various financing choices and determine the one that best aligns? Like, how did you make that decision for yourself?
Well, again, you have to tap into the resources, and I think there's 2 very important things here. You have to, first of all, it's like going to the doctor, right? You cannot just say, the doctor tells you, oh, you don't have anything, and you're feeling crap, and you're like, no, but I know I have something. And you have to keep going to another doctor and another until you figure out what you have. And I think that in terms of finance is the same thing. You have to do a lot of research, meet with a lot of people, hear a lot of different advices, and then really go with your gut. Really do what feels right for you and your business, and what feels right at that moment. I have grown in very baby steps. I think that life is what it is. Like, I feel like if I would have had a family that were all businessmen, or a community that a strong community around me that are like, let's blow up your business, And I have many friends who've done that. And I think that's wonderful. It just hasn't been my experience, right? It's taken me a very long time to even know the right financial terms of what to use. It took me years to understand that I can have multiple revenue streams, and I can have passive income, and that I can license my name, and I can create all that. But I've had to figure it out. And in terms of the right financial decisions, I think that you have to meet with different financial advisors. You have to talk to a lot of people. You have to do your homework, and then have it on paper. Once you have numbers on papers, once you have a business plan, once you have a vision, then go for what feels right for you.
Love
And
that.
be smart, be really smart. Like, it's better for me, I always say, I'd rather grow slowly and very solid and with a very strong foundation that fast and then have that crumble. And I think that's also another thing that I want to talk about. Like, really stick to your values. Have strong values. Any type of business out there, even if you're selling little carrot cakes, it has to have a purpose, a mission, a values, and find ways to always give back to the community. Even if you're selling 10 cakes and giving one away to a person in need. I think that right now in this day and age where we're at, especially for minorities, we have to help each other out. We have to lift people up, and we have to drop the narrative that, oh, there's only room for one person. No, we have to make room, right? There is enough seats at the table. And if there's not a seat, you pull up a chair for another sister, another brother. And because we right now have that social responsibility, if we want the numbers to shift in terms of creating wealth for Latinos, we have to help each other out. Just like our brothers and sisters from the African American community, just like a Jewish community is doing. We have to be more strategic about what we're doing in terms of not only our business. We have to stop looking at our own belly button, and we have to think bigger of how we are going to lift the community up.
Oh, love that. And I can tell it resonates with a lot of people in the chat as well. That was so wonderful. And that actually answered a couple of the questions that we had in the chat. Of course, we could not have enough time with you, Chef Grace. Like, there's just so much insight and so much wonderful information and inspiration. So really want to thank you for your time today, and just thank you from me and all of the attendees. This was wonderful.
It's my pleasure. I wish I could read all the chats. I don't know if there's a way of saving this and me to responding. Again, I'm Chef Grace Ramirez on Instagram, at Chef Grace Ramirez on Instagram. I am that person who reads. Might take me a second, because then I sometimes have to wake up at 4 a.m. and just go through messages. But feel free to reach out. We can always do another live in my Instagram if you guys have a bunch of questions, and I'm happy to answer them. This is one of my passions, just mentoring, because I think it is important. I think a lot of people out there make it seem easy and like, oh no, it's just happened. Things have been handed to me. Well, that hasn't been my case. So anyone who resonates with that story, I'm more than welcome to keep sharing my story and keep giving whatever words of wisdoms I can.
I love that. And yes, we will save this chat, and we will make sure that we get it over to you and share all of the ways that people can keep in touch with you.
You changed my life today. ¿Cuál es el nombre de Instagram? I'll put it in the chat. It's at Chef Grace Ramirez. Thank you guys. Thank you. It's really my pleasure. Thank you for taking the time to be with me.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for so much engagement in the chat. Thank you, Chef Grace. And now we are going to continue on. Like I said, I think we could spend hours diving into Chef Grace's experience. And we want to continue on that financial management path and continue to discuss some options for you and your business as you make these plans. So I'm going to go ahead and share this. All right. So I'm really excited to introduce one of our partners, Prospera. Prospera is an economic development nonprofit organization that has specialized since 1991 in providing bilingual assistance to Hispanic entrepreneurs who want to start, sustain, and grow their business. In the last 5 years alone, Prospera facilitated over 70 million in loans for small business clients, trained over 17,000 entrepreneurs, and helped consulting clients create or retain more than 16,000 jobs. Prospera currently serves Florida, North Carolina, and Georgia. We'll drop a link if you want to view more information about them. But now I'm really excited to hear from an expert all about essential techniques to manage your business finances. Please welcome Ray Santana, Prospera Technical Assistance Committee Chair and Senior Vice President at First Horizon Bank. Hi, Ray.
Hi, Brittany. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone.
Great to have you. All right, I'll jump in to this.
I have the tough job of following up Chef Grace Ramirez and her eloquent presentation, but I hope everyone finds it useful.
Yes. I totally understand, but we're excited for you and
Great.
for the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. So as Brittany said, not only am I a chairperson on the Technical Assistance Committee with Prospera, I'm also in banking by trade. I'm a senior vice president with First Horizon Bank. They're a regional bank throughout Southeast US. And my role is running commercial and private banking and business banking for a market in Miami-Dade County in Florida. So I want to just jump right in and give my presentation on tips that small business owners can use to essentially make their business bankable, right? So, we're not talking about businesses that are starting right up. We're talking about how you go from startup and those entrepreneurial stages to be able to approach a bank for lending needs for growth. So the first thing that I can say is, and this leads back to some of Chef Grace's talking points, which is having the right team around you, is seek professional advice. At the moment that you think that lending or borrowing from a financial institution is on the horizon for your business, you need to have the right professionals around you, starting with the right accounting professional. The days of having your aunt or your uncle or your brother run your books, if they're not certified, are gone the moment you want to get ready to approach a bank. So definitely seek professional advice when it comes to your accounting and bookkeeping. The next essential thing is making sure you have the proper accounting system set up and set them up early. If you have employees that are on payroll, make sure you're using a payroll system, QuickBooks, ADP. There's many options, but make sure that you're on a proper payroll system and make sure that your payroll taxes are being paid in a timely manner. People that had their businesses through the PPP crisis and the COVID crisis that benefited from PPP can relate to how crucial it was to having the proper payroll system set up. You also want to consider an accounting system like QuickBooks. A lot of times businesses make the mistake of wanting to start using an accounting software once they're too big and once it's too complex. Start early so that the ins and outs of working with the system you're familiar with, and like that, as you grow, you're able to grow within the system. So definitely get an accounting software that you're comfortable with, get the proper training, and get that working as well. Research plan and budget. Really here, my main takeaway is make sure you understand your profit margins. If you are planning or budgeting for a business, or you're looking to get into an additional line of business, maybe you're looking to sell an additional product, maybe you're looking to create a different line. You want to know what you're getting into in terms of profitability and planning properly, so that you know that you're growing in the right places. So like Chef Grace said, taking that step back and really analyzing, thinking about things 2 and 3 times, seeking the right advice and understanding is really important. Part of all this ties in with tracking your revenue and expenses. So many times as a small business owner, and I know this because I'm not just a banker, my wife is a small business owner. My family is very entrepreneurial and have run different businesses. You can kind of get lost in seeing all the revenue coming in and getting excited about that, but then you fail to really properly track your expenses. You know, a lot of times when people come to me, they're like, I'm making money, but I don't really know where it's all going. So, you know, seeing it come in is very nice, but then knowing where it's going and where it's being spent, and if it's being spent in the right places that are really helping you grow your business are crucial. And again, part of that all ties into monitoring cash flow. You know, make sure that you understand your cash flow for each line of business that you're in, or each product line you're in, or each service line you're in, and don't overspend within those lines of business. Next slide, Brittany. Okay, so for the next slide, definitely make sure that you file your taxes properly, okay? If you are dealing with a CPA or an accountant and you want to be able to approach a bank for financing, you need to let them know that although tax saving strategies are great, you need to show income and you need to declare income in order for the bank to take you seriously and be able to consider you for a loan. Part of that is separating your business from your personal. You know, if you want to approach a bank, you know, you can't really have those personal expenses commingled with your business expenses. Make sure that you have them separated and make sure that you're making the proper distributions from your business to yourself personally. The bank is going to want to see that separation. Make sure that even though you're in the growth stage, that you're building some reserves, especially now in this economy with the way things are. You know, there's a lot of economic uncertainty. Banks are going to want to see that you have reserves and that you've built some level of liquidity for your business. That's very important. Having updated projections is important. Banks are historically going to rely on history. They're not going to lend based on projections. They're going to want to see historical financials. However, you know, having projections could be important in certain instances with the banks, especially if part of the financing you're wanting to seek is because of growth, is because of a new line, a new location. They're going to want to rely on historical, but they're also going to want to see where the business is going with the growth that you're looking to finance. So that's where projections come in. And again, having the right professional by your side and having the right accounting software to help run all these type of reports is crucial. And yes, plan ahead for your capital needs. You know, the time to approach the bank is before you need the capital, right? Not as you need it, because then you don't want to find yourself with a rope around your neck and maybe you've gone down a path that there's no going back from. So, you know, make sure that you approach the bank with time to be able to properly structure the financing that you need. Next slide, Brittany. Okay, these 4 boxes really just cover the main pillars that the bank is going to look at. You know, so any proper financial statement has a balance sheet and a profit and loss. Balance sheet captures your assets and liabilities and equity. Profit and loss is exactly that, your income statement, your revenues minus your expenses. Cash flow is another statement that gets produced if you're doing a higher level of CPA and accounting service. That really shows your day-to-day cash on hand. That's very important to monitor. And then personal financials. You know, the bank is going to want to see your personal financial statement. That basically is the balance sheet, but for you as an individual. So your assets, your liabilities, and your equity. Next slide, Brittany. Okay, developing a banking relationship is key. And the best place to start a banking relationship prior to needing financing is with your deposit accounts. You know, a lot of times banks make the decision to just go ahead. People make the decision to approach a bank when they need financing, but really the time to establish that relationship is through the deposit side, so that the bank gets to know you. Make sure that you're prepared when you're going to apply for a loan. Make sure you have the proper financials in place. Banks might want to see a business plan. So you're going to want to have a business plan in place as well. And quality financial statements. You're going to want to have business tax returns filed and ready to show the bank. Next slide, Brittany. Okay. So basically, there's no 100% financing option. Banks are going to want to see that you have some sort of equity in the deal. So if you know that you need $100,000, from the bank, plan on 20 to 25% of that coming from you as an individual. Your personal credit is very important. The personal credit and is really going to be an insight on how well you're organized and how well you run your business. Banks definitely require personal guarantees on loans. There's no loans that banks will give just to the business, especially at a small business level. They're going to want personal guarantees and collateral. And experience definitely does matter. If you're a startup, they're going to want to see that at least you have some experience in the industry. And that's basically it. So, I'll be here for questions and answers after. I know we got to keep things moving along, so I appreciate the time that I've been given.
Thank you so much, Ray. We really appreciate that. And just having all of that overview of experience is really, really valuable. And so now I'm going to kick it to one of my colleagues, Luis Ramos. So Luis is here representing AOF, and we offer financing and also credit advising, which we want to talk to you about that could be really valuable. I'm going to go ahead and share the slides and I'll kick it to you, Luis.
Of course. Thank you, Brittany. Honestly. And honestly, here today, we're just here to just really just promote our little services, right? Our credit advising services, programming services, and more importantly, just our overall just education services, right? So here at AOF, we do have, as a CDFI or a nationwide CDFI, we do offer these resources nationwide, and oftentimes they come at like no cost for the most part, right, as well. Through our resources, you can find a lot of our online learning, right? I'm sure some of my colleagues will plug in our business resource library here shortly as well, where we have tons of articles and a lot of really good information that you can like look into and just to learn a little bit more about anything relating to your business, honestly. We also host educational webinars. Oh, whoops. Educational webinars and networking events as well, right? Kind of like where you're at here today, right? So we'll do a lot of these as well. We also have a lot of corporate partnerships as well. So we'll have programs with like DoorDash, even Pepsi, right? So we also do a lot of like these collaborative approaches with corporate partners as well. And if you are ever interested in learning a little bit more about these programs, please check out our website as well. There's a lot of good information on there regarding these programs as well. And last but not least, where I do most of my work is primarily with the personalized coaching, right? So through our organization, you can connect with coaches such as myself and my other colleagues that are also within this call as well. So you can connect with someone on a one-on-one basis at no cost whatsoever and really just learn everything there is to learn about business, right? Whether you're trying to apply for a loan, learn how to do your next marketing campaign, any legal questions. We have a little bit of everything, right? So we're happy to give you that information as well. Next slide. So I'm also here just to kind of highlight our credit advising program. So this is kind of like some new coaching work that we're currently doing, just because we are realizing that a lot of individuals and a lot of small entrepreneurs out there do have a challenging time accessing capital, right? Or finding money, right? Wherever it may be, right? Whether it's preparing for an investment, preparing for a business loan, finding grants, like all of these opportunities. Oftentimes, like the best way to kind of get connected to these resources is like you really have to know that they exist, right? So really our work through this credit advising program is so that you can connect with advising coaches, right? Or coaches from a credit capacity that can tell you, hey, this is what you need to do in order to prepare. This is how you apply. These are the places that you can go to potentially apply it to as well. It's just creating those connections, right? So we want to just really help you out and just make sure that you have the best tools possible and the most information possible so you can lead to a successful outcome as well, right? So feel free to use it, right? Next slide, please. Here, most of our work within our credit advising does also cover the 5 C's of capital, right? So all of our coaches will work directly with you, the entrepreneur, just so that you have a better understanding as far as where you stack up with all of these 5 different things, right? So in lending, it is very important to ensure that you have all of these bases covered, or to the best of your ability, right? So through our work, we can work with you and go over every single one, right? And just make sure that you are well versed and you understand exactly where your chances are going into any application, right? So we'll cover that with you as well. Next slide, please. Finally, I'd also love to cover our working capital loan as well. So one of the things is we love to advise, but then if you are also interested in applying with us, we're here for that as well, right? So we are a nationwide CDFI, as I mentioned earlier, and we do lending throughout most of the country, for the exception of a few states. If you want to learn if you can qualify, you're more than happy to book with me or book with any of my colleagues, and we are happy to kind of like help you throughout that whole process as well. But yeah, just a couple of things that you need just to kind of qualify for our product or our loan program, right? Being at least 1 year in business, a minimum of 50K minimum annual revenue, and just a valid government issued ID as well, right? Our loan rates go from 5 to, it says here 100,000. We recently just changed that actually last week. So we're actually at 250,000 now. And we have, you can see our terms, interest rate, and loan fees here as well. And if you'd like more information, you can go to aoffund.org for more information regarding that program as well. Next slide. And yeah, just if you'd like more information, please feel free to connect with me. My colleague Gladys is also on this call as well. So we are happy to work with anyone. Even if you're not interested in our loan program, or if you just want to connect with someone just to chat, right? And you want to get more information as far as I want to know what's out there for me, please connect with us. We're happy to connect and give you all that information. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Luis. And I can attest, Luis and Gladys are great people to just chat with. So if you are interested, we will make sure we share all of the ways to connect with them later. So thank you, Luis. And now I would like to introduce Clarissa Diaz de Leon Martinez, Manager of Community Lending at Allies for Community Business. So Allies for Community Business, or A4CB, believes that entrepreneurs from any background can start and grow businesses that create generational wealth for their families and communities. A4CB's mission is to provide capital, coaching, and connections entrepreneurs need to grow great businesses that create jobs, wealth in their communities. As a nonprofit community development financial institution located on Chicago's West Side, A4CB prioritizes Hispanic, Latinx, Black, women, and low-income entrepreneurs throughout the Chicagoland area and beyond. So great to have you here, Clarissa.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. Okay, let me go ahead and
Thank you.
Hi, yes, of course.
So I'll be primarily covering our loan program, but just a little bit of background on A4CB. So aside from our loan program, we also offer business coaching opportunities, and we currently serve Illinois and Indiana. So those are the 2 states we're currently servicing. Aside from the coaching, we partner with a lot of, organizations in the city to provide grant opportunities as well to applicants, which we list on our website, all the open opportunities there are currently for grants. But I wanted to, skip on to our loan program, as that's the department I'm in. So we do offer loans between $500 up to $100,000. And, we deal with startup businesses. So if you don't have any revenue, we still work with you. It's just that the loan amount would be a maximum of $12,500 if you have less than 6 months of revenue. So we definitely do work with startups, but that loan amount is capped at $12,500. Now, any loan amount $25,000 and below, the applicant is only required to submit bank statements, and we collect the 3 most recent for personal and business. Anything 25 and above, we do collect bank statements as well as tax returns, as well as year-to-date financials. So really anything over 25 does require a little bit diving into cash flow analysis. you'll get my contact information after this call. But if you want to go over what that cash flow criteria is for over 25, I'm more than happy to touch base on that. But we don't have a minimum credit score requirements, so we're actually not looking for clients to be in a certain credit range to qualify for a loan. We're more so looking at the activity on their credit report, more specifically over the past 2 years. So really anything over 2 years old, we're not even taking it into account. So we're looking at things such as if you've had on-time payments on your open accounts over the past year, any collections over $500 that are non-medical. So we don't use medical collections against clients. If you've had any bankruptcies in the past 2 years, and then we're looking at how much you've utilized on your current lines of credit. Now, let's say you do happen to have a late payment in the past year. Doesn't mean we can't work with you. It just means we would collect additional documentation and the loan amount would change depending on which credit criteria you didn't meet. But again, the credit score itself is not what we're looking at. It's more so the activity. And we even offer, if you happen to have been in bankruptcy recently, we can still work with you. Just that loan amount, again, would change depending on what credit criteria was missed. Our current interest rate is at 9%, and that's for all borrowers, regardless of credit. So everybody gets that 9%, and there is a 1% closing fee as well. The loan process really takes about a week to 2 weeks before the funds are in the account for the applicant. Really, the sooner we get documentation from the applicant, the sooner we can finalize decision on the loan. Underwriting may or may not have follow-up questions before they finalize their decision. But again, the sooner we get documents in, the sooner they could get back to us as well. So that's really our loan program. There is more details regarding the cash flow analysis, really for loans 25,000 and above. But we are looking at debt to income ratio. We want to make sure we're not giving you a loan that's going to put you in a hole. We want to make sure you can afford the loan. We're trying to help you and not, make things harder for you in the business. As mentioned before with Prospero, we do personal credit checks. So we are checking personal credit and we do report back to personal credit. We obviously encourage clients to take, the closing documents they get from us, which will have the business name and EIN so that they can request for it to be reported to their business credit. But we would be reporting back to personal credit. And we actually don't require any collateral for any of our loans, regardless of the size. So we're not asking you to pledge, a vehicle or your home. Our loans are guaranteed by your credit. So it's a personal guarantee, and that's the only collateral we'll require for the loan.
All right. Thank you so much, Clarissa. This was wonderful. And thank you for sharing more about allies. We appreciate it. All right, next and finally bringing us home, we have Maria Hall. She is the director of the DFW Women's Business Center, and she is here representing Lift Fund. Lift Fund transforms lives by opening doors, leveling the financial playing field, and building a community of shared success throughout entrepreneurship. Lift Fund's mission is to provide credit and services to small businesses and entrepreneurs who do not have access to loans from commercial sources, and to provide leadership and innovation in the micro-lending industry. Hi, Maria.
Hi, thanks so much, Brittany, and to all the other presenters as well. Really enjoyed Chef Grace and the encouragement from her, and to Ray, to Luis, to Clarissa for sharing. Kind of know that all of the information kind of builds upon it, right? So information that Ray shared, that Luis shared, that Clarissa shared would also apply to Lift Fund. Lift Fund, we're a community development financial institution. We actually work in 15 different states. So I'm going to go through them just a little bit slowly to see, because I think that's probably one of the key features is depending on where you are, what's available to you. So we're on both ends of New York and California, and then all along that middle belt, right? So our company started in Texas over almost 30 years ago in 1994. But we are in the belt line there. So New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, and Florida. So that's our 15-foot footprint where we're able to really work with underserved and underbanked entrepreneurs. That's what we're all about. We do not step in, or we're not a bank in the sense of opening an account, but we're really there to support. And our best referrals come from banks, from clients that are going to the bank for a loan and they're not, able to be successful in getting a bank loan right away. So we fill that gap for them. We provide assistance through business support and funding, just like our other partners spoke about. We use the 5 C's of capital in reviewing loan applications. But I just want to tell you a little bit about the loan programs and what we have available. So we do micro and small business loans up to $500,000 for our loan applicants. We have an SBA microloan and SBA 7A community and advantage loan programs. We also are able to do larger SBA 504 loans up to $5.5 million in the state of Texas. We have special low interest rate loan programs in the different communities where we've partnered with those municipalities that are offering special incentives for businesses in those areas. So you'll be able to check that information, on our website that I know will be shared with you in the follow-up information. Just a couple of things, right? Because for me, as the director of the Women's Business Center in Dallas, I work with clients primarily in North Texas, but some things are key, right? From what all the speakers said today. Without the white paper, you can't get the green paper. So it's going to be important that you do that planning, that you prepare the things, that you take advantage of all the free resources to provide assistance. We're not saying today, go to one place, go to all of us and find out what's available and where are you going to best find what you need for your business. At Lift Fund, we are able to do startup loans, and it's really just based on different criteria. We don't have enough time to go through all of that, but we're happy to meet with you one-on-one to review and see how we can really support you. Because at the end of the day, that's what all these organizations want to do, is to support you in your business endeavors, walk along the path with you, right? That path to success. We've got a great online learning program, as so many of our partners do. We have some great cohort-based accelerator programs that we'll do virtually and then in other key marketplaces live. Our QuickBooks Accelerator is a great program that's out there, our Digital Marketing Accelerator. So that's information that you can find on our website about the programs and different ways that we can help you and assist you. Brittany, I'm going to kick it back to you. So maybe we'll have a little bit of time for Q&A. I'm not sure.
Unmute. Thank you so much, Maria. No, I appreciate it. We had so much wonderful information shared that we are actually at the top, but I really want to appreciate Maria for saying that we are going to get you the resources. So I see some people in the chat who are very excited about Lift Fund, Prospera, AOF, and Allies, and the different resources that might be available. Don't worry, I will get you the contact information, the pieces that you need to contact them and get your questions answered directly from the source. So you will still have that opportunity. I know we're just a little over time. Finance is such a big topic, so it's not surprising, but it's so important for your business. So I want to thank everyone, Chef Grace, our partners at Prospera, Allies, for community business, Lift Fund, and of course, AOF. I think this has been a super helpful conversation. We want to thank the PepsiCo Foundation and our local partners for the Impacto Hispanic Restaurant Accelerator. And I want to thank everyone who joined this seminar, all of the attendees who took the time to expand their business. I hope you found some information that will help your business thrive. Have a wonderful day.